was fortunate to speak vocabularies at some point because I wasn't speaking vocabularies enough before. My scores were somehow encouraging. But when I started using vocabularies, I was able to do better than before. You will even be very happy. It will be easier for you to flow with ease. When you have the right words, that will increase and improve your fluency. That would improve your fluency. And fluency is part of the things you're going to be judged on in your speaking. So if you have the appropriate vocabulary, it's easier for you to keep flowing freely. That's why we have a session where we do some vocabulary works in the academy. We just introduced that last month, I think, and really last month it didn't pick up very fine. But I think with us, we should be able to go further than what happened last month. That is that about speaking. And before you know it, the examiner will just tell you that you are through with the speaking for that moment. You won't stay more than 15 minutes there, but you are safer if you are like 10 to 12 minutes. And another thing that I want to tell us, if the examiner keeps asking you questions and you are perceiving that your time is longer than necessary, then it means you are possibly not performing impressively. So if you are performing impressively, within 2 or 3 minutes of speaking with Dr. Agbele Oba, it will know that you have good grasp of language. Even if you talk with me for some minutes, I will know that, oh, this person can control language to a great extent. But then if you are not doing very fine, the examiner will still be trying to help you so that at least you can score something. You can get good score. They won't want to just give the person band 6 outrightly like that. But then if you are not sensitive and they keep asking you and you are still performing like that, oh God, it might not really be helpful. I've had series of testimonies of people that examiners kept asking them questions, but they couldn't just pick themselves up. And another thing is confidence. There was someone that booked extra classes with us because she wanted to do it well. I was the one handling her speaking. And anytime I tried speaking with her, oh, I knew she did not, she wasn't confident. She didn't have the confidence. And I kept helping her, pushing and all that. And lo and behold, when she came back, she had done like 4 IELTS before joining us. When she did her test with us, oh, she had 6.5 in speaking. I was not happy. I just asked her to go and remark the speaking because I knew I've invested so much into the speaking. So finally, she came back with band 7 when they reassessed speaking. But please don't push yourself to that point that you will need to go and reassess speaking. Sometimes to me, it's not, I don't find it very interesting for people to go and be reassessing speaking. Most times I will still go with writing because there are so many factors that surround, especially writing, thinking, bringing out points that you need to develop can be a very serious business. But speaking now that we do every day, please, let's not push ourselves to having band 6 or 6.5 and have any need to go and reassess that. So that is that about that. If your assessor is pushing you too hard, just know that you need to change your game. Change your game, improve your fluency, improve your pronunciation, improve how you use your vocabularies. Possibly you are not using words that are related to what you are talking. If they talk about farming and you cannot say anything about plowing, you cannot say about planting, you can't talk about weeding, you can't talk about using herbicides, you cannot say anything about pest and pest control, then what are you actually talking about in farming? If you are saying things about transportation and you cannot talk about tickets, you cannot talk about boarding, you cannot talk about alighting, you cannot talk about onboarding, you cannot talk about the speed of maybe the car or whatsoever, then what are you talking about? So please, let's help ourselves. Let's develop ourselves. Start speaking to yourself. Even if you have no partner to speak with, speak to yourself. Face your mirror. Speak to your mirror. I did that a lot when I was doing mine. I talked to my mirror because you might think you can speak until you are speaking on alone and nobody is asking you questions. Then you know that it is a big business to really do speaking tests. So let's prepare ourselves very well. I don't want any one of us to have challenges. That is that about speaking. Listening takes just 40 minutes, 30 minutes for you to listen to whatsoever you are going to listen to. And as you are listening, you are putting down your answers in the question papers. That is if you are doing paper-based tests. So if you are doing paper-based tests, your listening will be 40 minutes. You have 30 minutes to listen, and you have 10 minutes to transfer your answers from the question paper that you were writing to when you were listening. You have 10 minutes to transfer your answers into the examination answer script. But if you are doing computer-based, you are typing your answer in as you are going along, and you have just 2 minutes to check it. So please don't forget that. That might put you at a disadvantage if you are not competent with computer usage. So don't just go and book computer-based tests. Just book your paper-based test and go on like that. You will be fine. So for listening, prepare yourself to listen, prepare yourself to write as you are listening, and prepare yourself to transfer your answer when you are done. So you are doing so many things at the same time when you are listening. You may, in most cases, be given headsets, especially back at home. People were being given headsets consistently. I used headsets during mine, and you will be allowed to test those things. If your headset has problem, please let those conducting the test know before you start your test. Make the complaint, lodge the complaint. Don't wait till the retest starts now and you cannot hear anything from the headset. It doesn't worth it. Please don't put yourself in that difficult situation. And I did forget, when we were doing speaking, if you have voice impediment, the moment you join your examiner, whether virtual joining or physical joining, let the examiner know that you stutters, you stammers, or whatsoever. Let the examiner know. So if your headset too is not functioning properly, let your examiner know that your headset is not fine. They will give you another one. And in listening tests, you are allowed to use pencils. In all the tests, you are allowed to use pencils to write your answers. You can write your answers in listening and reading. You can answer in capital letters. So you can put all your answers in capital. It helps you and saves you the headache of thinking, is this a proper noun that I need to start with capital letter? Is it not a proper noun? The moment you will take to reason those things out, the speaker will be going on. They will not listen to, they will not wait for you. So please, it is more advisable for you to write your answers in capital when we are talking about listening and reading modules. But you cannot do that one in writing module, because in your writing module, the examiner we need to assess your power of punctuation, and capitalization is part of punctuation. So if you write all your answers in capital, then the examiner will find it difficult to know to discover if you know which words should go in capital or not. That one is not good enough, because it's not going to help your band score. So listening, that is majorly about that. You have 4 parts in that. You have the part A, part B, part C, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. In those days, it used to be sections. And we do repeat it here consistently because the test papers you are going to be using, Cambridge 1 to 16, the 1 to 15 still have those areas that they call sections. So don't wait to hear section. These days, it's part. And those ones, they have examples that would have been done for you before you start your test. But these days, they don't do any examples. The moment they start speaking, your test keeps coming with it. So take note of that, because when you are practicing, you will be here and an example has been done for you. But now, when you come to examination, don't start waiting to hear that word. Otherwise, you're going to miss like one or two things. Now, another thing that you need to do is be a good listener from now. Start creating an atmosphere of listening attentively. Be an attentive listener from now onward. Let not your mind be crowded. If your mind is crowded, you will not hear some things. Don't fight with your people back at home. Don't fight with your kids. Don't fight with your spouse. Don't fight with your friends at work. Don't harbor grudges at this time, so that when you get to the exam, you are able to follow through and through. It's not like your mind will be wandering here and there, going there and here and all that. So that is that. Because just a flip of missing what the speaker is saying, then you may miss about 3 or 4 or 5 questions like that before you will catch up. And when you are listening, if by chance you miss any point, just move away quickly to the next point. Because if you start brooding on, oh, I did not hear what they say about that, the answer is in number 6, so what should I fit into number 6? Before you know it, close your eyes and open it, the speaker is already in number 11. And it will now be taking you time to get to those areas. So please, don't put yourself in such situations. What else should I tell us about listening? People believe that part 1 is the easiest and it becomes tougher as you go towards part 4. But some of us find part 1 and 4 as the easiest portions. Whichever one your strength is, all build on them, and those that you are not strong in, start working with the strategies that Feishade will be providing for us soonest as we join her. And that is that. You can use pen, you can use pencils. We do advocate you use pencils because you can clear whatsoever easily, whether reading or listening or writing. You can use pencils. Then use capitals. We advocate the use of capitals in reading and listening, but not in writing. That is that about that. And I think that should settle us along that area. To reading, Mr. Olbayo will be handling that. Reading, this one do make people afraid, reading and writing. But please, don't fear them. All you just need is develop your vocabularies. All aspects of IELTS needs good vocabularies. You need them to function properly. When they are using one word, when they are, in fact, when they want to talk about raising animal, they will be telling you about breeding them, they will be telling you about raising them, they will be telling you about nurturing them. All those things should be popping on as you are going. Those things will help you. And you have your reading, part 1, part 2, part 3. Majority believes that part 3 is the hardest. Whichever one you find easiest, please go to that area of your strength first. If it is match headings, match paragraph, matching headings, matching paragraph, short questions, summary completions, and paragraph completions, and all those things. Like from the moment you start practicing, you will note those areas that you are good in. Like myself, I am always very good with those areas that you fill in the gaps. Like you are just completing those sentences, just completing those words in the paragraph. So if you see those, go there, do those things and move. And anywhere that is too tough, please leave that to the last part, to the last period that you are going to spend. Because if you go and say, oh, let me crack the hard notes first, you will just waste precious time. And IELTS has a way of tying you down on that seat. You will just be struggling to unravel that mystery, and somebody will be there and time will be tickling away, to be tickling away. And before you know it, they call for your papers. Please, it's always painful, especially when people come back with 6.5, listening, any module. that is not writing. And even if it is writing, if you are not looking at the UK, if you are looking at other countries like Canada, USA, New Zealand, oh, not USA, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, those areas that we always request for 7 in all. It's painful to see people coming with 6.5 because in this academy, we've raised people that have had 8.5, 8 in writing. So there is really no point pushing yourself to a 6 or a 6.5. So please build your vocabularies well now. Writing, academic, and general task 2 are same things. You will have same questions and both will be 40 minutes. Very, very important to stay within the instructions provided. The instructions will be, you should not write less than 250 words. And so if you write 249, you are going to be penalized. You're going to lose marks on task achievement. You've not achieved the task. You are going to be told to stay within 40 minutes. These people have done a lot of studies and they have known that 40 minutes is the best time to spend under this particular examination condition for these questions. So for these questions, you should be able to finish up within 30 to 35 minutes when you are writing task 2 and do a read over of your work. Proofread your work. We see people coming in the academy with so many grammatical challenges and so many things. In fact, especially with noun-verb agreement. And it is disheartening because it is, I think it is one of the things we learned in SS1, concordance, or what do they call it then? But then you see people saying the two boys fight, and the boy fights. It's really not so nice. And in our last month, we had loads of that, and we kept wondering what was really happening. So please, let's not be like that, because especially your introduction, the opening of your essay matters a lot. First impressions. You can't have a second time to create first impressions. So that first time, just make your examiner happy. You have to make them happy all through, but it's more challenging when you now start with the two bar charts states or the pie chart states. So when you have singular noun, which do not carry S, you should go with singular verb, and those are the verbs that carry S. When you have plural noun, those are nouns that carry S, boys, then you should have a plural verb, verbs that do not have S. The girls go. The girl goes. Not the girl go. The girls goes. No, not like that, please. Let's try as much as possible to note those areas in our writing. And in our academy, we advocate to write between 260 to 280 words for task 2. For 1, you write between 160 and 180 words. In most cases, it becomes difficult for any of the assessors in the academy to look at your work. If you are coming with a task 1 of 265 words, then we wonder how you get the time to write so much. We wonder how you get the time to write so much. How will you proofread? And in the multitude of words, there wanted not things. So the more you write, the more prone you are to making errors. That is why we don't advocate to keep writing and writing and writing without having the time to read. And you must always draw conclusions in your part 2, in your task 2 writing. Draw conclusions, very important. If you don't draw conclusions, it's not likely you're going to have good scores. For task 1, of academic, it will be about charts, about processes and all those things, and you don't need to conclude. So you don't need to draw conclusion in task one, academic writing. In task one, general training, Dr. Aguiloba will be taking that, and is always off the class because we don't normally have many people, but you will still do very, very well if you go along with him. His students have been coming back with like band 8 and all like that in general module. And I think this is a very safe place for us to call it a Wednesday. Thank you so much for having me on seat. And if there is any question, our time is fast spent. We can't touch them here, then you can pop them on the WhatsApp page, then many of us will be responding there. So before we go, I saw Coach come in. If you want to show your face, Dr. Agbele Oba, briefly, go.